Welcome back, and I'm going to now tell you how CPC is broken into 11 steps. Okay, and these 11 steps you should expect your consultants to deliver from you. Okay, now when I say deliver, they need to teach you, they need to show it to you, they need to do it with you, and they need to transfer it to you. Okay, these are four important categories. You hire any consulting company, that's what they're supposed to do. They need to first create it for you. They need to show how to use it. They need to teach you how to do it with you, and more importantly, transfer that knowledge to you in a very, very structured form. Okay, let's move and look at stage one. Stage one of consulting process is developmental audit. Now, when I say audit versus developmental audit, what is the difference, right? So we keep doing these audits for finance and accounting and all of that. That's not what we're talking here. Your people, process, systems, cash, market, sales, brand has to be audited from a developmental point of view. Now, this is a very different process than finding faults. Audit is not about finding faults. It's more development in nature. So people who actually do those audits need to have that mindset of development rather than a mindset of finding faults. So what all you need to audit? You need to audit your market. You need to audit your brand. You need to audit, which is your brand presence. You need to audit your social structure, which is your social presence. We need to audit your sales mechanisms, how inquiries are coming, how prospects are being achieved, how negotiation is happening, how approach is happening, how orders get closed. All of this is part of the cash creation, if you remember. Then your process needs to be audited. Now, what kind of processes? Your order generation process, your invoice generation process, your raw material generation process, a procurement process, your storage process, your make process, which is your manufacturing, if you are in manufacturing, right? If you are in trading, your trade process. How are you're stocking your trade, right? So all of this is developmental in nature. Then you go to the cash collection part of it, your financial your audit, where your finance processes, your accounting processes, your customer classification processes, your vendor classification processes, your processes of asking money from the customer, your banking transactions in terms of how they're happening. All of this becomes a part of your developmental audit. Now, what School of Inspiration Leadership has done is we've created enough amount of methods that allow our teams, when they come to you, make that developmental audit process an absolute fun and enjoyable process. Okay, rather than some external parties come in and they are doing this audit and they are trying to catch what you've done. No, that's not what you do. We come with you, we mingle around your friends, as friends with your team members, and we make sure that they're giving us information in a very non-threatening way. Now, this is very important because the moment I feel threatful about it, the information is kept away. Now, when we display that information, we do not display that information with anybody's names. We say this is the finding of the audit, this is the evidence of it, and this is how we intend to improve. So we also give you an alternate method to do that job if the job has not been done in the right spirit. So that's the goal of our developmental audit. Let's move on to step number two. Step number two is alignment of the future. Now, any consulting project, my friends, when you are assigning it to a consultant, it is very critical for you as business to tell him what is the future you want to achieve. Okay, because the as is and future has to be mapped, and that's called the alignment to future. So what do we build in alignment? We build the tools that are required, we build the project plan that is required, we build the task system that is required, we build the competencies that are required for people to grow, we build the education system that we want, we build the future process that is required, we build the future system, and along with this we help you build the budget for that change. Now, that's the alignment of future that is important. Now, if this alignment of future, if these two steps are missed in a consulting process, what happens? You start doing all of that and then you whistle your way out. Then you don't know who's doing what. Then you as a business owner will find and say, kuch hua hi nahi. And sorry to say this in Hindi, but you might say nothing's happened. Nothing is shifted, nothing has changed. Because you are in war, you are not able to see the future. So it's important that right at the beginning, you sign off on a document which tells this is where we want to go. You may want to do small changes and change requests might come. That's absolutely okay. But that direction should not miss. So it's very important that that document is created. That document is like a Bible, a Bhagavad Gita, Quran, that stays with you when you're not seeing your path. So you go back, you refer the document, and you move forward. That's how the first two steps help, which means it helps you to bring all the stakeholders on one page. And that's the first part of your success. If you're able to do that in the first 6 months, or maximum 6 months, at least minimum 3 months, right? If you're able to do that, you've won half of your war. You know why? Because the chances of you losing in execution is very high. There's no doubt about it. But a right plan, wrong execution, fair. A wrong plan is destined for a wrong execution. Okay. Now, most of the companies are not able to merge that execution and strategy that they created. Okay. And every company who's able to do that starts scaling up. Realize what I'm saying. And that merging of strategy and execution is change. People's habits need to be changed. People's behaviors need to be changed. People's visual, the way they look at themselves, look at the product, look at the company, look at the process, look at each other, look at the customer has to change. The way they behave needs to change. If that change has to be done, then there has to be a very tight-knit execution plan. And that's what alignment of the future means. Then we move on and start building the strategy for it, the how part of business. The how are you going to win at the marketplace? Now, what do we do while we build the strategy? First point that we look at is we build the strategy canvas of the company. Okay, so it's like a frame that tells me in one frame, this is how my company is going to go to 100 crores or 200 crores, whatever number you're talking about, right? So that's the point. We build the customer canvas. So I have my company canvas and I have a customer canvas. So I want to merge these canvases so that me and my customer are on the same track, because he's the guy who pays me, isn't it? He's the guy who pays me. So it's important that my customer and my strategy canvas is in sync. It's merged with each other. So that's the point number 2. Point number 3, we start creating process canvas. What does that mean? It means a critical line of the company that cannot be violated. That also tomorrow becomes your governance process. So that critical path of success is being defined. Fourth, we create a sandbox. Now, what do we mean by sandbox? It's the addition, division, multiplication, and subtraction of activities within the departments that allow the business to scale. To give you an example of raise or an example of addition could be total number of customer addition in a certain territory must be increased by, say, 2x is raise. Similarly, a reduction, a minus activity, a subtraction activity could be non-paying customers to be subtracted. So when such activities come together, it's not only about addition, it's not about subtraction, it's not about division or multiplication. All of these activities coming together actually creates a sandbox of your strategy. So that's the thing that we build there. Fourth important is success behaviors. What should people do? What should people not do? Right? There's a governance to it. People should do this. People should not do this. How do you decide? Based on the values that you've already built at your alignment session, right? So once we do that alignment, we build your values, vision, and mission. So everything is now directed to that, including the values will give us a governance structure that this is how people can behave, this is how people can't behave, right? And people who don't behave that way will move out. People who behave that way will grow in the company. It becomes so easy, and there's no dilemma in the process of scaling up. Neither for loyalty or competence. Right? That moves on to the sixth part of it, and it's called organization structure. So we build the organization structure of how it would look at. Say, for an example, you want to reach 100 crores. We build the organization structure for 100 crores. We don't build the organization for now. We build it for, and then we reverse the entire journey of hiring. Okay, now that gives me a great strength in terms of finding the right person to do the job. Okay, and it gives me patience to find the right person. I'm okay to invest a little more as per, because I'm seeing the future. I'm looking in the future and then investing today. That's how you do secured investments, isn't it? You buy an insurance looking at what is going to, maybe what could happen in the future. You buy a policy for your family looking in future. You buy a house looking in future. So while you do all of those investments looking in future, your people also need to come in the organization, look in the future that you want. Okay, that comes and looks at the last part of it, which is building the financial parameters of success. So I oftenly say that the execution, operational parameters should be price rise at least by 1%, COGS reduction by 1% at least, your debtors to be reduced by 1%, your creditors to be increased by 1%, which means the number of days to be increased by at least 1%. Okay, if you look at all of these 1% parameters that are there on your balance sheet, you will see if you're a 10 crores business, you will bare minimum make a net out of just 1%, nothing to be changed, at least 20 lakh rupees will come home. Okay, that's your profit, net profit I'm talking about. If you're a 100 crores company, then nothing less than 2 crores is a net that you can achieve year on year. Okay, and that's how those financial parameters are set, and that's how we make sure that even if we are growing, our bottom line is always kept intact, because that's the reason we are all working together. So if you see, we've covered developmental audit as one stage. Second stage, we've covered what do you mean by alignment to future, and the third stage that we've covered is building the strategy. The fourth, fifth, and sixth stage I'm going to share in the next session. I'll see you there.